What to do if your bank account gets locked or frozen? This is happening more and more nowadays with regulatory compliance laws being more and more stricter. People's bank accounts or businesses' bank accounts get frozen without explanation more and more. This is particularly due to AML regulations set by the European Union through different frameworks. So this is what you need to do if your bank account gets frozen. First of all, prepare an explanation of the source of funds. This should be done on one or two pieces of paper, a very clear overview of where your source of funds originate. This should be additionally supplemented with bank statements or other documents pertaining to the source of funds. Second, you should write a letter of complaint to the financial regulatory authority. In Lithuania, that would be the Bank of Lithuania if your bank account is held in Lithuania. And if your bank is located in another country in the European Union, you need to contact the local banking authority that deals with financial complaints. At Crowder Solutions, we are always happy to help you during this process. The most important thing is that there is a clear pattern of communication between the AML staff of the financial institution and the individuals whose funds are being put on hold. There are certain legal frameworks that you should be aware of. First of all, if you will request a subject access request under GDPR, the financial institution is not obliged to provide you any information that is pertaining to a financial crime investigation. Second, you will not be able to obtain information from which authority has requested your bank account to be blocked, because there are several situations where that can happen. The most common is unusual transaction activity. This means that the bank itself has detected an unusual pattern of financial transfers. And what will happen next is that they will conduct an internal investigation where they might or might not report it to national authorities. The second situation is also very common. It is due to tax authorities gaining control over your account for unpaid taxes. And in the European Union, there is the so-called framework of the European Enforcement Order, the EEO, which means that for an unpaid tax or unpaid debt, one member state can contact the bank account of where your funds are held in another EU country and request your funds be taken. A lot of the time, people are unaware that this is happening because European Union countries are actually obliged to communicate between each other in which countries a certain citizen has a bank account. The third most common reason is something to do with a local unpaid debt. So if you've received a certain county court judgment of a debt that has to be owed, the bailiff or sometimes the court can request to the bank that your funds be seized or frozen. The fourth situation is usually when a governmental authority, usually the judiciary, the prosecution, or the police, requests that the financial institution locks the individual's or the business's account. This can happen in a proceeds of crime investigation or during a criminal proceeding where evidence has to be gathered. And also, during that certain investigation, you will not receive any detailed explanation on why it's happening. This is why communication and trying to find a strategic approach to your problem is of paramount importance, because through certain patterns, we can actually analyze what the, in fact, problem is. It is extremely important to deal with any kind of blockages or suspensions or limitations of your bank account as soon as possible. This is because the earlier you act, the faster you will be able to get an appropriate solution for your benefit. It is also important that you communicate legally, thoroughly with the financial institution. In Crowder Solutions, we are always prepared to help you with your problems.